Alright, so this is devlog number 1 of AxiomOne. So it's the first devlog where I'll actually be showing code. In devlog 0, I gave like a high-level summary of what the project is, but now I'll actually be talking about what I coded. So I don't know if I said this in the previous devlog, but this project will be coded in TypeScript, so it will run in Node.js. Um, and also one thing, since I limited myself to not using any dependencies, using, for example, the TypeScript compiler or using a bundler would be would be considered cheating because that technically is a dependency. Um, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use TypeScript but with type stripping. So Node by default, so from v23 onwards, supports type stripping by default. So you can just run TypeScript files. So that does mean that I'm limited to only erasable syntax. So I can't use any of these. So I can't use enums, namespaces, etc. But that's fine. So for that reason here, I have the erasable syntax only flag. Um, so yeah, and also since the whole philosophy of the app is that the user can come in at any time and like change what they want from the app and like make it their own and stuff, like having to like have a separate building process like before actually using the app kind of lessens that vibe. Like it's a lot less plug and play if you have a separate building if you have a separate building pipeline. It feels a lot plug and play, if you know what I mean. So yeah. um so now I'll be talking about sort of the folder structure of the thing. So like you see here inside the source code, there's the kernel. So I explained in the previous dialogue that the app is going to be in 3 layers. So at the bottom there's the kernel, then on top of that there's the core, then on top of that there are the modules. So yeah, so like right now I'm starting with the core, which is I mean with the kernel, which is the like the foundations for the app to run. And yeah, so I started with the module setup system. um so yeah, so like here, as you can see, like I'll be making my subsystems like this. So like yeah, in the, for example, in the modules folder there's the modules.ts file, which is the main implementation of the module system. Then I have its unit tests right next to it, then the types, then the errors, and an index.ts file to export everything. I have this index.ts file because here I have a path alias. So for example, if I make like the main entry point, so blah 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 .ts, I can, for example, import the setup from a hashtag kernel/modules without having to go into this specific file. So that's pretty nice. Um, so testing wise, so as you can see here, there's also a testing utils thing. I'm gonna be using the default Node test runner. So as you can see here, I use the Node test runner, and I have my own utilities here. So like one that I'm like my first one is the global test variable. So like I have this global testing variable, which is going to be used kind of like a spy. I think that's the term in testing. So yeah, and as you can see here, its type is the test interface, and the reason why it's an interface is that any other, like for example, if like a new parameter is needed for like a new system, it can just be like added like this. So now so now interface test, and now there's a new field which is modules. So now if I go into the test variable, there's both active, which was defined here, and modules, which is defined here. So that's nice. Apart from that, I also have some file system utilities which had to like backup and like restore a directory. So that's used. So that's like right now that's used for the modules directory. So right now, let's say the user has actual modules that they made. So like let's say this is filled with modules. Once for the unit tests, the unit tests need to create their own modules, right? But if we like merge them together, then it's gonna be a whole mess, right? So like during the unit tests, this is gonna be moved to modules temp, and then once the tests are done, it's gonna be renamed back. So it's like that way user data, user modules and testing modules aren't blended together. So in the test utilities, I also have factories. So right now, since there's only one system, I only have one factory here, which is which is kind of a shorthand for me to create modules. So it's like it writes the manifest file, it like creates the code file, etc. So like I also made unit tests for the module system. So as you can see here, for example, create module, create manifest, blah blah blah, and yeah. So I think now it's time to tackle the actual module system itself. So yeah. So modules are set up in 4 stages. So first there's the discovery stage, which reads the modules directory to find any new modules. So let's say I have my module here. So the module names are going to be in kebab case. So yeah. So in the discovery stage, we're gonna find all subdirectories, and inside of them we're gonna look for a manifest.json. So a manifest.json. So let me just make this an object. So yeah, and then there's gonna be validation to validate the manifest. So the only 2 required fields in a manifest is the name, which has to match the module name, the folder name directly. So here it has to be, wait, why did I make it plural? Yeah, my module. So and the entry point, which is the relative path to the entry point. So here it's entry. So yeah. And the validation stage is also going to check if the actual entry point exists. So now I need to create my own index.ts file. And after, the next step is loading, which is going to import this file and and import its init function. So all module entry points have to export a function which is called init. So yeah, and that function is going to be imported, and then in the final stage, initialization, this function will be run. So this function can be either synchronous or asynchronous, and they're all executed sequentially, so all of them one by one. And so yeah, so for example here, let's say I have I log, so console.log hello world. Oops. So yeah, and then let me just make up a quick entry point here. So index.ts. Let me just await setup here. So yes, like let's say this is the main entry point of the app. So now once I run this actual thing, index.ts, boom, hello world. So yeah, so that's the basis of the module system. So yeah, and modules in themselves, they don't really have runtime code to make like they don't really have runtime code. They just like this function only runs on startup, and that's it. They kind of work similarly to VS Code extensions, if you know about that. So it's like here, for example, like the modules are gonna like listen to events. They're gonna like register, for example, commands, etc. So yeah. So now let me just run through the code here. So it's like this is the main setup function. And as you can see here, the setup function can only be called once. So there are these like booleans here which don't allow this function to be run if it was already run again, because modules should only be initialized once. Because for example, if there's this one module which imports, for example, if it does await setup, then it's what's it called? Then it's an infinite loop. Like this is gonna call this, etc. So yeah, and wait, what was I saying? And so moving on, so like discovery wise, so it's gonna like read every directory, and also it's gonna sort them alphabetically. So all modules are gonna be like loaded in the same order. So they're all gonna be loaded alphabetically. So yeah, and then we like read the JSON file. Yeah. Oh, and also like here, I keep track of module states. So I have a map of module names and module infos. So let me show you the module info interface. So right now it's kind of a mess because there's a lot of different states, but basically it contains the module name, what stage it's on right now, which is one of these four, and whether it's successful. So yeah, and if it's not successful, it's gonna have an error parameter. So yeah, and then it's also gonna have its manifest, and if it was initialized successfully. So if everything went right, and the module is now successfully set up, it's gonna have an init time field to see how long this function specifically took to run. So that's useful for diagnostics. And so all of that is stored in the module system, and then you can access it using these getters. So you can do get module info if you have a specific module name, or if you just want like a big report, you can just do get report. That's going to tell you the number of discovered modules, of like loaded modules, initialized, failed, etc. And as well as like the total setup time of like everything from start to finish. So yeah. Oh, and also yeah, I have this comment here which I'm going to explain. So like here, like as you can see from the imports, like I use asynchronous file system operations. So like I await, so for example, read file. Oops, wait, I meant to see the usage. Never mind. So for example, I do await read dir, so that it's asynchronous, right? But here I use exists sync, which is synchronous. And the reason I'm doing this is because the alternative, which is supposedly just exists, is deprecated, and now they recommend using access. But access needs like try catch, and like it throws, etc. And so like for here, which is just inline once, it's just simpler to use the synchronous thing. And also in the future, I'm going to be making an OS abstraction, which is going to abstract all the file system operations anyway. So until then, I'm just going to keep this and then replace it once I make the OS abstraction. So yeah, and also you'll notice there isn't much logging here. Like I don't really log anything. That's because all the errors and stuff are kept in the state, and they're accessed after the fact, and also because I'm gonna be making my own custom logger, yeah, and until then I'm just not gonna log stuff, and then once I make it, I'm gonna retroactively go back to the code and add logging. So so yeah, like it's been a month since my previous devlog. Like it's been a while. I wanted to make a devlog every week or so, but yeah, I got distracted. And also it's because like right now this is the first like bits of code that I'm writing for AxiomOne, right? So I had to figure out the paradigm. So like I tried like multiple different paradigms. So first I started with OOP, which made sense. I mean, which was kind of like the default pick, but like the thing is, like there should only be a single module system in the entire app. So like it being OOP, which one of its strengths being that like you can like create multiple for example module systems, that goes against the point. So instead I did a factory paradigm. No, actually, first I did OOP, then I came to like this paradigm, which is just like flat functions which are imported. And then I went to the factory paradigm. So like I had a function called create module system, which returned all of these functions. But then that had the same issue, so I went back to this paradigm. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna use this paradigm for the other systems in the app. I may, for example, use OOP sometimes if needed, or like use a different paradigm like if needed, but like the default is gonna be this. And this is also useful because I can do like object destructuring. So I can just do setup and boom, a single function, and that's it. Yeah, I think that's about it for what I wanted to say. Let me also show the unit tests. I'm gonna be organizing them. So for example, here's kernel.modules. Inside it's like each function. Like I only did these 3 functions because the rest are just like getters, and so they weren't really worth it. And I'm also gonna like write unit tests. I mean, are these technically unit tests or like integration tests? Like I'm gonna be thinking them as like black boxes. So like there's the setup function, and I don't want to know what the internals. I mean, the tests don't want to bother knowing what the internals of this function are. It just needs to know, okay, I'm gonna feed it modules, and then it's gonna do what I expect it to do. It's like there's like a shared contract that the setup function has to fill. So I'm not gonna like test like the individual stages. So I'm not gonna test like the validates function specifically, nor the discover, etc. Like I'm just gonna test the one setup function, and then like give it multiple like different scenarios. So yeah. I think that's what I wanted to say. Next time I'll be making the event bus, like, which is also part of the kernel. And yeah. Oh, and also everything that I've said right now, or like most of it, is in these like JS doc comments. So like I'll be making these throughout the app, so that like you can go into the source code and really see everything in detail. Yeah, so I think that's about it. Oh, it's been 17 minutes. Okay, so I think that's about it. Oh wait, one last thing. One thing that I could improve about this system right now is adding a timeout for init function. So let's say this function like hangs for like more than 5 seconds, then it's gonna like skip this and then skip to the next module. I could do this, but like if I switch to parallel like execution, then it really doesn't matter. If like, I mean, it still does matter, but less so, because if this hangs for like 10 seconds, that's like 10 seconds that could have been spent on the other modules. But if it's parallel, then like all the other modules are being run anyway. So yeah, so I think that's really about it. Hopefully the next devlog will come sooner. No guarantees though. I'll be moving to the UK soon, cause yeah, I'm going to university. So it's a pretty eventful time in my life right now. So yeah, but I'll still be working on this. And now, since I already figured out the paradigm, it should take less time for me to make progress on this. So that's about it. And yes, see you in the next devlog.